Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some easy raspberry brownie bars, and this is because I made the easy lemon brownie bars a couple of weeks ago and they were a big success. Everybody liked them, and so I thought, well, since I have some raspberry puree left over from when I was making the raspberry mousse domes, I would use that and make another version of these brownies. Of course, they're not brownies in as much as they don't have any chocolate or anything in them, but they have that dense cake texture, and then they're topped with some icing, which is simply going to be icing sugar with raspberry puree. So they're very, very simple to make. I've started off by preheating my oven to 180 Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And I have lined an 8-inch square tin with parchment paper. It doesn't have to be as deep as that. If you have a shallower one, that's fine, because this isn't going to be very deep at all. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for the ingredients I have 140 grams, which is 1 cup minus 1 tablespoon of plain flour. Then I have 150 grams, 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar, 1 gram, 1/4 of a cup of baking powder, 5 millilitres, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 113 grams, which is 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which I have melted and cooled, 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of raspberry puree. And you can make that quite simply just by taking some raspberries and pushing them through a sieve to get the juice out of them, and discarding the seeds and such like, and the juice is what will be the puree. I have 2 medium eggs and the yolk from another medium egg, and they would be large in the USA. And then for the icing, I have 95 grams, which is 3/4 of a cup of icing sugar, and 15 millilitres, 1 tablespoon of raspberry puree. So I'll put those to one side for a minute while we make the mix for the cake. And for that, I'm simply going to put the dry ingredients into a larger bowl. So that's the flour and the sugar and the baking powder. And I'm going to just mix those around with a whisk, just to get them combined a little bit. And then, into the bowl that the flour was in, I'm going to pour in my eggs, and my melted butter, and the raspberry puree, and the vanilla extract. And then I'm going to whisk those together. Just like that, and I'm going to add that into my flour mixture. And I'm going to mix that around until it's just all combined. That's good like that. And so I'm going to pour that into my cake tin. And I'm going to just shake it to level it and get it into the corners. Just like that. And then that's ready to go into the oven to bake. And I'm going to bake it in the oven for between 18 and 20 minutes. It will rise just a little bit, and if I test it, it will feel firm to the touch. And at that point I'll take it out and allow it to cool down completely in the tin before I take it out of the tin. And once it's cooled down completely, I'll come back and we'll make the icing. I baked the cake for the raspberry brownies for 19 minutes. I touched and felt the top and it was nice and firm, so I've taken it out and allowed it to cool down completely. Then I've taken it out of the tin, and that's what it looks like. So now we need to make our raspberry icing, and I have my 95 grams of icing sugar and my tablespoon of raspberry puree, which I'm going to put in. Now, if this makes the icing too runny, I can add more sugar. If it's not runny enough, I can add more raspberry puree or a little drop of water. So I'm simply going to stir that around and it will form a paste. And I haven't sifted this flour because it should break up nicely as we make the paste. I'm just going to add a little drop more raspberry puree. This is thicker than lemon juice, so it's not making it the mixture in quite the same way. But I need it to be thick so that it doesn't run off the top of the cake. And I think that looks quite good. So that's probably just about the right thickness. So what I'm going to do is spoon that onto the top of the cake. And then I'm going to spread it all over. And I have a glass with some water in so that I can dip my spatula in to help level it off if I need to. So I'll spread that. Taking it up to the edge. I'm just going to dip my knife in some water and just run it over the top. So that's good enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the fridge and I'm going to allow that to firm up. You can leave it on the counter and it will firm up, but it will do it so much quicker in the fridge. And once it's firmed up, I will come back and we'll cut it and we'll have a taste of it. I chilled the raspberry brownie bars for just about an hour really, and then I took it out again and I've actually cut it. So this is what it looks like now, and I've just cut it in half, and then one half in half again, and then cut 1/4 of it into bits like this. So it has a nice sort of dense texture, and the icing is set up quite nicely, so I'll have a taste of it. It does have that nice dense and soft texture, and I can actually taste, I'm just going to slice that piece so that I've got just the cake. And it has a nice subtle raspberry flavour to the cake, and then you get the more raspberry flavour with the sweetness of the sugar on the icing as well. So this is obviously very similar to the lemon one, except that it's raspberry. It's very easy to make. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.